How to discuss this?
Yeah, how to discuss.
Hmm.
Um, well, here's a question.
Yeah.
Is Colton the only one that might know about the pond? I don't know. Hmm.
Certainly don't know.
Hi, Kristen Maldonado from Pop Culture Planet. I'm so excited to chat with you guys again. This is my favorite show. So, season three, I'm ready.
Oh, yay.
And I gotta start, this season, we see the Landrys go back to the 70s. What was that like for you to dive into a brand new time period?
No pun intended, you mean? I'm always so impressed and so excited to see these eras come to life. For us, like just with the photography, like the cinematography on its own, but then also the sets and the clothes and the hair and the makeup and the just the vibes of whatever time we end up going into is so well done, so well thought out and beautiful.
Mm.
Um, that just being there, it's kind of almost like, what am I doing here? It's like it's so cool.
The
Um,
70s is such a good
this
period.
oh my
It's so
God.
pulpy.
Yeah, and we get to meet characters, the younger versions of characters that we already know and love, and which is really, really exciting. I think anytime we get to see backstory on people, it's like I love it. But to do it in a super cool setting with like amazing, sets,
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
awesome.
I also am so impressed and thrilled with the writing of season three that I didn't think it would have been possible to serve up as many twists and turns as they do while still keeping the nutrition of the show. I think audiences are going to be mind blown this season.
It was fantastic. That magic that the 90s had. I've kind of been looking for that, ever since the first 90s reveal of, the farmhouse and golden hour and Colton and young Elliot. You just see everything sort of coming together, and that was such a magical memory for me personally. And then the 70s was kind of that all over again. But at the same time, the more people are excited about the show, the more you want to meet people's expectations and even maybe sort of go above and beyond that too. And so when we were starting the 70s stuff, I was kind of okay, like I need to sort of find my footing and how do I connect to this new era and how do I have a new relationship to it?
Mhm.
And a family member of mine sent me a picture of my dad and his brothers in 75 maybe or
Oh, wow.
74. Yeah, something like that. And I saw the picture and it just like totally it kind of sparked that curiosity that we all sort of have about like what if I could go back and see what my parents' childhood was like or see what my mom was like as a teenager or see what my grandmother was like when she met my grandfather. All those sort of questions that are just sort of daydreams for all of us, and it
Mhm.
really connected me to the magic of the 70s and sort of the made that personal connection for me, and it was really really exciting.
This season, we get to see you sing some more songs, including a song with the younger version of your grandfather. What has it been like getting to kind of show off your musical chops over the course of these seasons and, getting to do some like covers and some original things?
Music was sort of my first love before acting, before anything, and so having that be such a big part of Alice as a character was always so central for me, and I just can't believe that it's even a part of my life in the way that it is. And yeah, but this season, what's extra exciting is that our teen Colton, Jordan Dow, he has a beautiful voice and he's a wonderful musician, and so there's sort of this, we sort of see that origin story of who is this teen Colton who is excited about his dreams of music and how does that affect Alice and how does that inspire her. And Jordan did such a beautiful job and being able to sort of share the musical load on the season is something that I really really appreciate and enjoyed this year.
You mentioned like we're going to see more backstory on people. I mean, already we're going to learn more about some more Augustines as well and learn more
Mm.
about your dad, Vic, and what he's dealt with and the traumas he's dealt with. How do you feel like that impacts your character's relationship over the course of the season?
I think that Elliot is really on a high at the end of season two, where he he has this amazing time travel journey with Colton. He has this moment, and it kind of allows him to get a lot of this get a lot of the monkeys off of his back. And so season three, he started with a kind of has a mandate that he's going to stand up and become the man that he's always dreamed of being. And part of that dream involves Kat, and the that dream all of a sudden is on his doorstep. But in typical fashion in real life, when an idea or a dream that we've been dreaming about for years becomes reality, all of a sudden it has all of the other dimensions too. It's real life. And so we see Elliot trying to work all of that out while at the same time having his the main perpetrator of his trauma show up and take him out at the
I thought you
knees.
were talking about me
Yeah,
for a second.
no, no, I said main perpetrator, main per. No, but it's like what's cool about a time travel show is it's already all in there. We just we get to show the audience. It's almost sort of like it like was inside, like it's like a piece of corn. It's like when you pop it, all of a sudden it becomes something else, and you can see all the dimensions. But it was sort of there all along. It was just sort of in its little shell, and I think that's like I don't know.
I
That
love
show's a
that.
lot like that. It's sort of like a Gordian knot, you know?
Yeah. Well, I feel like we saw that last season too with like, we'd seen the story of Colton building the hangout spot that you guys all hang out in, and then
Right.
we
Yeah.
got to see you like a completely different version where you got to actually, hang out with him. And it's
I know.
like there's all these little teeny twists that you could do with like even just one scene, which is so
Yeah.
cool.
I was there all along. It's so
Yeah.
cool.
I love the parallels in this show, and I feel like there's a really interesting one where Alice technically saves young Colton as a teen, but then she also, at the same time, feels responsible for his death as an adult when they were in the 90s. So, what was it like exploring that?
I think what's so haunting, as you mentioned, is that she saves his life, and it's kind of like in the exact way that she ultimately ends it. And so, both a car crash, and there's something so haunting about that. Um, and part of it is, yeah, playing that struggle of how do I enjoy the extra time I get with Colton while also really feeling that profound guilt, for what's to come for him. And one of the interesting things is that as an actor, you have to play like fully involved in the scene in 1 second and then turn away and be so heartbroken over, he says like, thanks for saving my life. And I say, oh, no problem. And then turn to have a private moment to yourself, and your heart just shatters into a million pieces. And so I love playing that double life. And it's a really exciting challenge as an actor. And it makes the scenes have so many layers to it. I think that as an audience, your brain is just like there's just so many things going off at once that it's really you could watch it a billion times and you'd notice different sort of double meanings every time.
There's always some kind of mystery to uncover. And it seemed like we wrapped up a lot of things last season, but now I feel like there's a big mystery of like, did Colton know about the pond that you guys are trying to explore? Why do you think that's so important to them? And why do you think that he didn't, quote unquote, as Jacob says, protect them from this?
How to discuss this?
Yeah, how to discuss.
Hmm.
Well, here's a question.
Yeah.
Is Colton the only one that might know about the pond? I don't know.
Certainly don't know.
But it does definitely beg the question of, if he did know about the pond, then why would he not say anything?
Hmm.
Especially given the fact that the pond is what took Jacob.
Hmm.
And for all we know, like affected things from, I mean, maybe even the very get-go, because getting back to the 1800s, guess what we had to use? The pond.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like trying to, I think, wrap it all in one idea is too hard, because
Yeah.
it's too many, there's too many variables in that sense.
Which is why it's such an amazing cliffhanger for the end of season two. Just
Yeah.
like one shot, and all of a sudden it's Colton's face, and then blackout, and
Yeah.
the audience, like the theories have been off the chain. Everybody can't wait to see, and I'm actually like I can say with full confidence that I'm excited because I know audiences are going to be thrilled with the way the story is told this season. It's so
Yeah.
good. The writing is so good.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to find out. Something else I wanted to ask is just, what it was like being on set the day when you guys finally got to see like Jacob and Dell reuniting for the first time, because I know that's something audiences have been really excited for.
That was, yeah, it was pretty heavy. We actually had filmed that in season 2,
Hmm.
but we held off and aired it for season 3.
Mhm.
And so it was actually really fun to watch it again. Because after obviously being there, and so I'm a huge fan of our show. So I'm just saying that in general. I went back recently with a really, really dear friend of mine, and she hadn't seen the show yet 'cause she doesn't like to watch things I'm in. And so we watched it. So I rewatched the entire thing all the way through season 2. And that moment, those moments, right when before we even see what happens, oh my God, it's so powerful and so profound. And Andy was just phenomenal. The
Mm.
fact that she can have these deep guttural cries or sobs and like this beautifully powerful emotional work, and then after when they say cut, she's like, ha ha ha, was that good? Did y'all like,
That was crazy.
did you want it? That was crazy. It's like, it shows what an absolute pro she is. Like you could throw anything at that woman and she could turn it around and wrap it in a bow. But no, those scenes were so beautiful. It was very emotional to watch, that's for sure, being in the scene as well.
As much as audiences they've been watching the show for now going on 3 seasons, and they've protagonized themselves when they're watching the show. And so they love characters in the story because they love themselves and they're putting themselves in that situation. And so that's why it becomes very personal. It feels personal.
Mm,
The same thing has happening to us when we're on camera playing them out, like we're playing them out with our own bodies, with our own sense memory. And so it just means so much more the longer the show goes on. And so to be doing a third season, it's just like it feels so deep. And you can tell because when we were doing our read throughs, our table reads, they always have at least 2 big Kleenex boxes because there's inevitable tears. In fact, our showrunner, Alex, we have a game where we see how many pages into the script she gets before she starts to cry.
yeah.
And I think our last episode of season 3, it was 3 pages.
No,
Wow.
it wasn't even.
Oh, really?
It was like
Like three
it
sentences?
was like 3 sentences. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
It's one of us. Someone is always crying when
Yeah.
we're reading the tape the scripts together.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
In this season, we find out that Jacob actually remembers Alice from the past and no one else really seems to. And I was wondering if you have any like theories on why he might be able to remember her when others can't.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you bring it up because it's something that I just kind of accepted as Alice because I would want him to remember me. But you make a good point. I think, what I found recently is that my memory as I grow up is less specific. The people I met as children are kind of these like caricatures in my mind. Like I can remember like every single person in all my elementary school classes, all my teachers, like they're all these sort of like cartoon character versions of themselves in my mind. And I think Jacob had such a short existence in the early 90s as a child and at home with Dell and everything that I imagine that's probably sort of almost like a dream with these sort of characters that are symbolic to him of a time that he can barely really remember.
Mhm.
Whereas I think when Alice interacts with Dell, for example, or you're watching someone who was going through so much grief and was holding so much responsibility. They're an adult. They're meeting a lot of new people all the time. Little kids, you're sort of just you have the same sort of cast of characters in your life all the time. Your world is small. Your memory is like absorbing everything. And so I don't think it's like I don't think he has some sort of power that other people don't,
Mhm.
but I do think that Allison in his short life, that was a big part of
Yeah,
his life before he disappeared. She was there for
totally.
a whole year with him before he was
Mhm.
gone. So that's a lot when you're 8.
Yeah, yeah. We see Alice and Noah's like modern love story starting to continue. And it just made me think like, do you think there could be a future kid of theirs that's watching their love story? Sort of how like you guys are going back and seeing, you know, your grandparents' love story. I'm just thinking about like certain characters that we're still not sure about who they are.
That would be really interesting, honestly. Like, and you know, I think what would be hard for Alice would be knowing how hard it is, or how hard it was for Elliot to know so much about his future, and knowing that there could be someone out there that knows more about her life than she does, and um, knowing that that could be really detrimental to her life if she started asking too many questions. I think what's funny is that Alice, like the audience, is always kind of looking for, okay, so who's a time traveler here? Like, you know, she kind of has the eye for that, and she thinks that anyone could be a time traveler. And on the other hand, Kat is sort of trying to help her stay in the present. You know, she's being mom. She's saying, stay focused. You know, you have a beautiful life in the present. Don't look for problems. Don't look for chaos where there isn't any. And of course, you know, you see everything through the lens of this time travel experience that you've had, but at the same time, I think Kat's right in encouraging her not to look for that.
And I love hearing you guys talk about the show and, you know, getting to watch it and hear your perspectives after. It's so cool. And I just want to thank you so much for your time. I know people are going to love this season. Congratulations.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
so,
much.
so much.
Thanks for having us.
Consider subscribing if you like this video and get even more entertainment news at popcultureplanet.net. See ya!